Happy free agency, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into Chicago Bears Now for an early edition of Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. On today's show, I'm going to make my final free agency predictions for the Bears, plus just take a look at some more free agents that the Bears could monitor over the next few days here in the NFL as free agency gets going. And speaking of which, we will be live here in a few hours, 10 a.m. Central Time, on the channel. If you see this thumbnail, you're in the right place. We'll chop it up. We'll monitor every move, every rumor, every trade that comes in, not only for the Bears, but all teams across the league. So join us, 10 a.m. Central Time. Going to have some fun raffle items to raffle off as well. Day one of free agency has been hectic the last few years, so can't wait to do it again with all of you. Okay, prediction number one. The Bears will re-sign Kevin Byard. Now, who knows? Maybe by the time you're watching this, that will have already happened. The Bears did sign Daniel Hardy last night, but I think they'll find a way to get this deal across the finish line on a 1 or 2 year deal. Now, free agency may open up. They may let him test the market, but I think in the end, given the fact that they do not have a safety under contract, other than I think maybe one guy on a futures deal, I'd have to double check, but no one that's really a threat to make the team or certainly start, they need to bring back Kevin Byard. Now, I don't think it's necessarily Kevin Byard or bust. There are other safeties available, but they're going to have to sign somebody, at least one safety that is a starting capable player. I've said for weeks, the ideal scenario, you re-sign Kevin Byard, you draft a safety in the first few rounds, that is your starting tandem for 2026. I don't expect Jaquan Brisker to be back, so if you count that as a 1B prediction for this first prediction on the channel, I think Brisker's out. I think Byard's in. I think that ends up happening. Will the Bears re-sign Kevin Byard? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments section below. What do you think? Do you think Kevin Byard will be back? Some other re-signings that I think have a pretty good chance of happening. Case Keenum with an asterisk. I think he'll either re-sign with Chicago or retire. I don't think he'll play for another team. Could be wrong. I think one of Olamide Zaccheaus or Devin Duvernay will be back. There's a chance both come back, but I'm guessing one will be back. I don't really have a strong preference. Zaccheaus is the better receiver. Duvernay offers the return ability, obviously, so if you lose him, you need a returner. Jordan McFadden, I think there's a good chance he returns. Started the playoff game at left guard, gives you an option there on the interior. DeMarco Jackson, I'm hoping comes back. I'm less confident because he could get a little more money than expected. They seem to really like Travis Homer on special teams, so like Daniel Hardy, I'm guessing he returns. I think Jonathan Owens comes back. He's your third safety. And then Scott Daly, the long snapper, I think will be back as well. Okay, prediction number two. They will sign what I'll call a mid-tier linebacker, just a solid starting caliber linebacker. That'll be a lot cheaper than what Tremaine Edmunds was, anywhere from $6 to $10 million annually for one of these type of players. Alex Anzalone, who was reported by Jeremy Fowler, could draw interest from Chicago. He's got ties to Dennis Allen, and of course Ben Johnson was in Detroit when Anzalone was there for a couple years as well. Leo Chenal is a name that I think Bears fans should pay attention to. Really good athletic profile. Has never been a full-time starter. Has kind of been that third linebacker for the Chiefs, but he can blitz. He's pretty decent in coverage. I could see the Bears taking a flyer on him. Demario Davis, certainly older, but still good. Kaden Elliss, good blitzing linebacker. Then Devin Bush, who's kind of gotten his career back on track the last 2 years in Cleveland. I know the Browns are trying to re-sign him, but if he hits the market, I could see the Bears showing some interest. And look, the Bears need another starting caliber linebacker. TJ Edwards entered this offseason with an injury. They cut Tremaine Edmunds. Obviously, you've got Noah Sewell, who tore his Achilles. We don't know if DeMarco Jackson's going to be back. You need to sign at least one starting caliber player. Probably going to have to draft one as well, very similar to the safety position. Okay, prediction number three. I think Dennis Allen, DA, gets one of his guys. He's going to bring in somebody from the Saints defense that is a free agent to come play here. I already mentioned Demario Davis, but I think Cam Jordan and Alontae Taylor are two other names to monitor as well. Obviously, they did not get Max Crosby. I do not expect the Bears to be players for Trey Hendrickson, so I think Cam Jordan could be a guy, 1 year deal, $10 million, something like that, to come in here and kind of be like a edge 2-3 hybrid with Austin Booker. You don't want to overplay him in snaps given his age, but he played about half the snaps for the Saints last year. So I think Montez Sweat, Cam Jordan, Austin Booker, and someone that you draft, that's probably your edge group. Maybe you got Daniel Hardy back as like your fifth emergency guy as well. And then Alontae Taylor, don't forget, he's a guy the Bears sniffed around. There was some reporting at the time that the Bears at the trade deadline were interested in trading for him. The Saints ended up keeping him, but I know he was a guy that if the offer was right, New Orleans would have dealt, and they probably should have, because it sounds like he's going to walk in the NFL free agency. I think corner might be a position, and I'm guilty of this, that we're not looking at enough that the Bears could look to add at. And again, that's a Dennis Allen connection, so I could see them bringing him in. All right, guys, merch. It is available. Chatsports.com/Bears shop. Get started today and check the express shipping arrow down right there. $5, only 25 cents more than the normal shipping cost. Go ahead and take advantage of that so you can get your merch as quick as possible. We got all kinds of stuff. We got the new Beers line, the t-shirt and the hat, which we still are running the deal. $15 off if you get both. If you add both the hat and the t-shirt to your cart when you check out, it's automatically going to give you a $15 discount. Each is worth $29.99, $60 value. Well, it's $45 if you buy one of each. So that is really the best bang for your buck. We still have the St. Patty's gear. The t-shirts available in green, navy, and black. QB1, you see him there. He's making the river green. No one does St. Patty's better than Chicago. T-shirts and hoodies. The hoodies, no green hoodie available, but you got the green in the river there. You're still good to go. Black and navy hoodies available. All of our merchandise can be found at chatsports.com/Bears shop. Check it out today. Link is in the comments and in the description of this video. Okay, next prediction. The Bears will sign a left tackle. Now, the caliber of one, that remains to be seen. So this isn't like a super specific free prediction. I think they would really like Taylor Decker, but I think it's going to come down to price. Why did he not stay in Detroit? Because they wanted him to take a pay cut, and he said no. So I don't think, even though he's got the connection to Ben Johnson, even though the Bears have a need at left tackle for 2026, my gut tells me he's not taking a discount. Now, maybe he hits the market and the market's not super strong, and if it's a competitive offer from the Bears, maybe he would take slightly less given the connection to Ben, given that it is a team in Chicago, a division he knows, and a team that has a chance to contend, and an offense he already knows. That would be less of a learning curve than going somewhere else, but I don't think he's going to cost like $8 million. My guess is it's probably at least going to be 15, but I'd be open to that. 1 year, $15 million for Taylor Decker, maybe add a void year to keep that price down. I would certainly be on board with that. You've got other options. Cam Robinson's out there. He's a lesser starting caliber option, but he is a starting caliber player. Braxton Jones as well. The Bears would know better than anybody his health situation. Do they feel like he can get his strength fully back? Never felt like that was the case last year early on in the season before he was benched and then got injured again. Josh Jones, kind of a swing tackle type, but you could throw him into that competition at left tackle. Joseph Noteboom, who's been a starter in the past, was a backup last year, kind of same deal. Vederian Lowe, I thought, held his own when Will Campbell went down for a month last year. I thought he was okay at left tackle. And then Jed Wills, former first-round pick, pedigree, he is expected to play this year. He rehabbed last season with an injury. If they want to take a flyer on an upside play that they could get for cheap, I think Jedrick Wills is an interesting option. And as we know, Ozzie Trapillo is not going to play this year, at least not for the majority of the season. I would guess at the earliest it would probably be like Thanksgiving. And even if he is ready to return by then, what type of shape and what kind of caliber player is he going to be rehabbing a major injury? I think the Bears have to operate as if he's not going to play this year. So I think they're going to sign somebody at minimum for competition, but potentially to be a starter, which would obviously be the case with a guy like Taylor Decker. Okay, who do you guys think will be the Bears left tackle in 2026? Drop a prediction for me down in the comments section below. Okay, let's now just look at some free agent targets at different positions, just guys available. I don't know if the Bears are interested in a lot or just a few of these guys, but just names to monitor. At least 5 guys at some different positions we haven't discussed at length at. Running back, I wouldn't rule out an addition here. Kenneth Gainwell's intriguing. I doubt Joe Mixon's someone they would look at, but, if they did pivot off DeAndre Swift, maybe. I don't think they will pivot off Swift. Pacheco's an interesting name. Najee Harris, you could buy low on, a talented player who had an injury last year. Sean Tucker, who I really like. I think he'll look for a guaranteed role, which I don't know if he'd get in Chicago, but he's a player I've always liked. How about Darnell Mooney? I don't know what his market would be, but he'd be like kind of an ideal DJ Moore replacement to come in here and be that number 3 receiver. If it's north of like $10 million, I don't think the Bears are doing that, but $6-7 million, if they could bring him in on a 1-year deal, if he plays well, he could still get another contract elsewhere next year. Khalif Raymond has the Ben Johnson connection, some returnability as well. Calvin Austin's intriguing with Pittsburgh. There's kind of been different reports on what he could get. Jahan Dotson, former first-round pick, but does have some speed. Tyquan Thornton, an absolute burner, made some big plays early in the year for Kansas City last year. He would be interesting in a Ben Johnson offense as well. Take a look at some tight ends here. Notice I didn't predict Durham Smythe returning. He certainly could, but we'll see. I doubt they would look at Taysom Hill, but that would be a kind of a fun, creative weapon that Ben Johnson could go after, but he's going to be 36. Foster Moreau, decent blocker, good receiving tight end also. Charlie Kolar does a little bit of everything. I've heard his market could actually be pretty good, though. They're not going to spend big. They have their 2 tight ends. I think at most you're talking $3.5 million. Daniel Bellinger, who's a decent blocker out of New York, and then Connor Hayward, kind of a tight end fullback hybrid who could kind of play that Durham Smythe role where you're not really throwing him the ball, but you could use him as a fullback and as an extra tight end. Okay, safety. Obviously, if you don't get Kevin Byard and if Jaquan Brisker walks, you're going to have to get somebody. These are all starting caliber guys. Brian Cook, I think, is an interesting name, but I think he's going to get a lot of money. Kobe Bryant's been rumored to get maybe $12, $13, $14 million per year as well. Jalen Hawkins, I've heard Reed Blankenship could be a fallback option for the Bears. He's going to want to cash in, though. He hasn't made much money in the NFL. Alohi Gilman is a player I've always liked. He could play both safety spots and nickel, so he gives you some versatility. Geno Stone is a good center fielder type of safety, can cover, has a lot of picks in his career, but he does not want to tackle, so I'm not sure if the Bears would be in on him. Nick Cross, who's kind of like a Jaquan Brisker type, not great in coverage, but he can play in the box. Then Jalen Thompson, who's probably going to be priced out, but he's another interesting option too. And then corner, I mentioned earlier, a position we're probably not looking at closely enough. Seattle, Josh Jobe and Reek Woolen, they're almost for sure going to lose Woolen. I think they're going to try to keep Joe, but both will hit the open market in all likelihood. Maybe the Bears would show interest. Monteric Brown is another player. Rasul Douglas, who I was interested in trading for at the deadline. He's a little bit older, but he's still pretty damn good. He'd be a nice CB2 opposite of Jalen Johnson. And then I'm not sure how much is left with Marshawn Lattimore, but former Dennis Allen player, obviously had some great years under DA in New Orleans. And then defensive tackles, who Jeremy Fowler said the Bears could look more for an interior pass rusher than an edge. There's not a lot of obvious names out there. John Franklin Myers, I doubt the Bears are going to pay what he's probably going to command, which could be around $20 million per year. David Onyemata, older player, but still effective. Obviously played under Dennis Allen, and I think he and Grady Jarrett overlapped for a year in Atlanta. I'd have to double check, but you've got that connection as well. Logan Hall, who I think Brad Biggs reported could be a sneaky name to watch in free agency, not just for the Bears, but across the league. He could be one of those guys that makes more than expected. I like DJ Reader as like a DT3, just come in here, be a rotation guy. I think he fits this scheme better than like an Andrew Billings type, so keep an eye on that. And then Dalvin Tomlinson, who was terrible in Arizona last year, but he's had some good years in the NFL. Maybe it was a scheme fit, I'm not sure, but that's another name that you could maybe buy low on and get decent production out of. And then lastly, edge. Obviously, we mentioned Cam Jordan earlier. I'll put Trey Hendrickson on the graphic, but I would be stunned. There's been no reporting that the Bears are interested in that. The reporting's been the opposite, if anything, that they're not going to make a splash move like that. I would probably put Odafe Owe and Jalen Phillips into that splash category as well. I think they're going to be north of $20 million per year. And then you get into like the guys like Joey Bosa, Jadeveon Clowney, probably 1 year, 2 years at most type of players. I'd be very open to that. Same with Cam Jordan, which would be a 1 year guy. I'm probably out on the Boye Mafe, Kwity Paye guys, where feels like they're going to get paid more than what they've produced, but since they're young, they could get decent contracts. Von Miller with Washington, older player, but again, Still pretty good. Had 9 sacks last year. Joseph Asai. And then Al-Qadim Muhammad. I know everyone's scarred from that from a few years ago, but he's been good in Detroit the last year and a half. Maybe he's an option to come in here and be like a DE2, DE3 type on a 1 or 2 year deal. Okay, predict the first Bears signing of free agency. Let's call it external signing. So not someone they're bringing back, because obviously they brought back Daniel Hardy. Let me know. First Bears signing of free agency. Who do you guys think it's going to be? Drop his name down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and join us. We will be live. Day 1 of NFL free agency is here. And it's been a blast the last few years. Let's make it a blast once again. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Do not miss out here on Chicago Bears Now. We got you guys covered. We'll see you soon.